Hello and welcome everyone to the final part of the Unit 3 project. So the final few functions that we have to write are handle status, check status, and handle quit. And they're all pretty simple, but I'm just going to go ahead and write those out. So the check status is a function that I wanted to use to help handle when the user, when we needed to check each game cycle to see if the user had lost or not. And it would be a little bit different because normally I could just use the handle quit function, but I decided to kind of make this just slightly different. So here I'm going to check a few variables. And here I'm just copying the global keyword. And I'm pulling down the year, my food, and my health. Remember, we set up the year function or the year variable so that we could see if the user had gone into the second year past December 31st, because that is a loss condition. And what I'm going to put right here is handle loss. This is a new function I'm going to be creating in just a moment that's going to quit and give the user their status at the same time. So it's just kind of two functions rolled into one, super easy. So beyond checking if the year is greater than 1, I also want to do an else if statement to see if the health is less than 1. So if the user is on no health, we'll call handle loss again. And then finally, the last thing that we're checking is our food levels. And if our food level is less than 1, of course, we're going to handle loss. And that's pretty much it for our check status function. The only thing we need to do further is define our handle loss function. And basically what I want to do is just say handle status, which again, I haven't created yet. So it's going to throw an error on that. And I also want to say handle quit. Right? So it'll basically just give the user their status, which I'll write in just a second, and it'll also handle quit, which will be very useful. Now, let's go ahead and pull down this, and let's start writing that check status function. So check status is going to be pretty simple because we just want to tell the user basically all of the stats, so their food, their health, things of that nature. So we need to just do a few things, and I'm just finding it in my notes. So we want to go ahead and define everything that we have: global month, global day, and we're going to say global total miles traveled, global health, and global food. Now, the good thing with this is our work is actually going to be pretty easy. So we're just going to pull down a few things that already exist in our other functions. So here, we're just going to pull down this print statement for health. So I'm just going to say copy and paste. I'm going to pull out the part that says how much they rested for. And boom, I've got my function right there. Your health is string health. I am going to give it a buffer, and then I also want to take in the amount of food that they have. So here we see we define a global food, and I'll just say print you have, and I'm going to add string food total pounds of food, because of course we're measuring it in pounds. And I just want to change that to stir. I have my pluses. I think everything is good there. Finally, I want to give them the, or not finally, but I want to give them the number of miles that they've traveled, as well as the day and month that they're on. So I'm going to pull down this right here. Actually, I want to pull down maybe a few more things, because I do want to say my total miles traveled. I want to have my miles remaining. So I'm going to pull that down and slap that in right here. So I am calculating miles remaining is equal to total miles minus total miles traveled. And then I'm going to take this. You've traveled a total of total mile traveled. You have miles remaining, miles left to go until Oregon. And it looks like everything's set, and I don't know. Oh, okay, so that's no error. So the last thing that we need to give this function for check status is simply the date and time, the we'll say it is day, if I could type this right, and then of month. And of course, if you want to get function or fancy with yours, you could always have a function that spits out the name, and that would be kind of useful to your players. So here, check status is created. I'm going to pull out this pass function. I'm going to make sure this is defined above without usage. That's fine. Handle loss right here, check status, handle loss. I've created handle status, which should be set. Check status. And we should be good. So I'm not entirely sure. Redeclared check status defined above without usage. Let's see if I already have this yet. And I should be fine for now. So we're going to go ahead and pass over this and we'll continue. So also have handle loss. Oh, check status. That's what I want to change this to. And there we have check status being used. I'll tear this out. And finally, I will write my handle quit function. And my handle quit function is going to be pretty simple. I simply just want to say that I quit. I think that's about all I really care for, right? I'll just go ahead and sit while I figure it out. We're just going to go ahead and take the global status variable, or no, sorry, this is global. So remember the variable that we're using is going to be the game status. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'll pull this in and I want to change game status to game over. And you can see that we're all done. And just about the only other thing is if the user command is quit, we are going to handle quit. And that's pretty much how we do it. So we're just going to say game over. And matter of fact, we could even kind of take out this user command equals quit part of the this if statement or this while command right here, because functionally it's just going to change game status to game over. But we're going to keep it like this for now. Finally, the only other thing I think that we need to change is going to be the add day function. We need to change a few things just to make sure that we actually kind of increment. So right now, everything stays exactly the same and nothing changes. Your food doesn't go down, your health doesn't go down, but we're going to change that in just a moment. There are two things I want to do before I complete this video. One is complete our add day function, and the other is actually run the code, check it out, see if it passes, just a set of basic tests, right? So in my add day function, what I want to do is I want to deal with the things that should be decreasing day over day. So for example, right here, I've written out my global food variable, and I want to say minus equals 5. And what this is going to do is every single day when add day function is called, after every single action that we do, whether it's hunting, traveling, or resting, this add day function, of course, as we know, is going to be called a set number of times, depending on which action we're completing, and we'll decrement our food minus 5. So I actually give the user a reason to have to kind of go and get food and choose to hunt or choose to rest. In addition, the only other thing is we have to write a semi-complicated little piece of logic so that we can figure out if the user is decreasing on their health. And that is if day is equal to 14 or day is equal to 18, we're going to say health is minus equal 1. So that'll simply just decrement our health variable once every 2 weeks. And this should be perfect. One of the reasons I really like having this add day function is its own separate function. We're not adding days, by a series of numbers. So we're not adding 5 days at a time, just because it allows me to think in sort of single terms. Every single time this function is called, it only changes the day once. So finally, all our functions are complete, and we can see we're getting a little bit of a notification right here. And that is because I am not defining health as a global variable like I wanted to. So finally, I'm going to go all the way down, and I think we're ready to go ahead and click play and see kind of what we get. We can see we get our very starting intro, and that's working fine. And it's asking me what would I like to do. I'm going to say travel. And if I hit enter, it says I traveled 54 miles for a total of 54 miles traveled, and it gives me the number of miles I have left to go. That's pretty much perfect. We can see our travel function works. If I say status, we can see we have our total health, which is 5, which is great. That's what we want to start. And we have a total of 475 pounds of food, which is great. You can see maybe the only thing that we're not listing out in the travel function that would be nice is to tell us how many days we traveled for. So we might want to say, you traveled 6 days for a total of 54 miles. But just for the sake of the video, we're going to go ahead and leave it as it is. We can also check out our hunt function. And you can say I take 2 days to collect 100 pounds of food. And then if I hit status one more time, I have a total of 565 pounds of food, which is exactly more than my last status check. And I'm trying to see where I had that. Oh, you can see right here, 475 total pounds of food. I have 565, so my food still goes down, and then I incremented it by however much I was hunting. Finally, if I click help, you can see, our commands are reiterated, or maybe you would want to give a description of each command in your own, but of course that's a pretty simple print statement for you to work on. And additionally to this, we can say we want to rest, and it says I'm fully healed, which is awesome. I don't need to rest, and it wastes me no days. So I'm going to say travel a few times. And my command was bad because I had the space at the end. So maybe that's something you kind of want to sanitize. So I've done travel a few times, right? And now we can see I have traveled 35 miles. Each time we're going up as expected. So we traveled for a total of 285 miles, but before that it was 250. Finally, I'm going to look at status, and I'm going to see kind of what everything looks like. You can see my health is 3. I have 440 total pounds of food. Everything is progressing as I would expect it to. I'm on day 3 of month 4. Of course, test your functions, test your program a lot more than just what I'm doing in the video. But for the sake of video, sake of keeping the runtime down, that is all we will have for the Unit 3 project. I hope you liked. If this helped you out, please like and subscribe and leave a comment on the channel. It really helps out. Thank you all very much.